Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Bone Podcast, where we discuss all things crypto market. That includes the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Memecoins, and of course, NFTs. Today, we're going to discuss a massive Bitcoin hack earlier this morning that led to Monero's XMR token, of all things, to pump. We're going to talk about macro catalysts to watch for this week coming up, and we're going to talk about this morning's crypto rally and the absolute heater the meme coins have been on. I'm joined this morning by Cheese Rich Nick. We got Nick here nice and early. How you feeling today, Nick?
I'm feeling pretty good. You know?
Love it. How was your weekend?
Well, I went to Universal Studios and that was fun. You know, I went to Epic Universe, which is not technically opened yet. Which is kind of a scam. I'm going to be honest. Everyone's like, oh, it opens May 22nd. Right now, it's in, quote, preview mode, which means you pay twice as much for access to it. And it'll be broken 50% of the time, which is pretty wild. But it was awesome. Honestly, it was really solid. Enjoyed it a lot.
That's really funny. I'd never heard of that before. This weekend. We had my daughter's birthday party over the weekend, and someone brought up the Epic World, and we were like talking about all the different like things that were there. It's like, well, like Harry Potter, some like Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, it's Nintendo. It's Dark Universe, which I guess is based off of Frankenstein. You have Harry Potter, and then the fourth one is How to Train Your Dragon. And then there's a fifth thing, which they just call like Constellation or something like that. But that's basically just, we don't have a name for this, but we're going to throw in a big ass roller coaster.
Like a miscellaneous.
And it's a crazy roller coaster. It's quite big. I had to like literally drag my girlfriend onto it. Well, I didn't force her, but
very quick.
She was very nervous about it. So I was kind of like giving her light peer pressure, which it seemed like she wanted. And eventually she ended up on the ride and said that was a really good ride. So yeah, for all those that are saying that I'm an abusive guy, trust me. Trust me.
It's okay. She had a good ride.
Overall, all the rides are way better. The park smells fresh. The people were fresh. Everyone had like new shoes and stuff. It felt like there was just like, you know, rich people, you know, showing up to this park. Because everyone that was there had to drop $1,000, basically. Like that was basically it. You came in, it was like, oh, you can afford $1,000, cool. If you can only afford a couple $100, we'll send you to the other parks with the peasants.
I'm gonna have to hit you up to see if it's worth it or not. We're planning a trip potentially this summer, so we might do like half of Disney and then half there.
Well, you should just go to Universal during the preview mode right now. What you have to do is you have to pay for one of the premium hotels, which is Hard Rock, or this other one, Lowe's Portofino, which is not cheap to stay in. So but what you get for that is I got the 30% off for Florida resident, but you don't get that for the Epic Universe one. But maybe I can. No, they checked my apartment lease to get me in on the discount. They like, unless you have a Florida driver's license, I could manufacture a lease for you though, so you can get the 30% off.
Yeah, let's just do the fraud right on stream. Love it.
When did you move to New York?
To Florida?
Florida.
Well, I've been here since January, but I got this apartment almost 2 weeks ago as of Tuesday.
If I could give you just some unsolicited advice, I would 100% take the time out of your day to go get that driver's license, because since you're moving from New York to Florida, like New York's going to fuck with you.
Oh yeah. So the problem is you have to schedule it, and I couldn't get it scheduled till June.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, that's still fine. Just like you want to get that like this tax year locked away earlier.
Oh yeah.
Because they will fuck with you.
Yep. I'm not even like flying to New York. What is New York? You know, that's the question in my mind. But yes,
like they just assume you're guilty. Like they'll be like, "Oh, you live in Florida? Nah, dude, you owe us taxes, bro." No, like you're guilty until proven innocent.
Well, I do. Like I had a buddy send me an entire guide from his financial advisor on escaping New York. And it's like a multi-page document explaining how to make it happen. The biggest issue that they're running into or that they're dealing with is just there's so many people that try and do half and half. And people really push the limits.
You're on the clean end, but like still they'll fuck with you by default. I mean, when I moved to another state, this state fucked with me. They said I moved here 2 years before I moved. They're like, you owe taxes for these 2 years. I'm like, no, I didn't actually live in your state. And then they're like, oh, okay, never mind. But like they didn't ask me. They sent a bill. They're like, you owe us $20,000. I'm like, no, I don't. So I mean, by default they're just gonna fuck with you.
Real quick, I wanted to resolve or make a comment on it, but I see this comment. New York worse than LA, fucking libs. Isn't LA liberal? What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? Also, someone said, can we send Nick some Hawaiian shirts? Have you not seen my outfit for the past couple of weeks? That's like literally all that I wear. But it's hilarious because everyone's like, oh yeah, all the, well, anyways, I'm not even going to get into it. But yeah. The whole thing, someone said the DMVs in Florida suck. That's why I got a reservation, but the reservation is not available till June. Or you can, and this person says you can stand in line at 6:30 a.m. and wait 3 hours, or you can pay somebody. Welcome to the lives of the rich. Okay, there, Ellie.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
I'll tell you what, in Delaware, we just drive up to the DMV. There's a kiosk where I can do my automatic type in a couple buttons, spits out a UID, and I'm good to go. 20 minutes DMV tops. Love it here.
I love it. So on the crypto side of things, 100K Bitcoin incoming this week is my expectation.
100%. And we're going to get into that. We're going to have Kicks do a weather report here in a minute. But first, we're going to let you know this show is brought to you in partnership by our friends over at, we've got a little bit of a fun intro here, over at
Echo, and make an echo song. When you need to send money to friends, but they don't know how crypto ends, you don't gotta worry about that. Echo.
Big shout out to Tig doing a little Kicks.
Why did he add that auto tune? He could have reduced a little bit because it made it worse. I thought
my natural voice was beautiful.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree 100%. If you don't know what Echo is at this point, what are you even doing listening to our show? Go to bodagos.com/Echo to sign up. Echo is the only way you can send and receive money with just someone's Twitter handle. Easy as that. If I want to send Tig a tip for this, I can. Simple as Echo. I'm going to send Tig's 0.1 Solana on Echo for making this video. If you are on Echo and you want to get a little cut of the Solana we're handing out, if you're listening on YouTube, comment your @ in the comments. If you're listening on Twitter Spaces, post a screenshot of your Echo profile below the Spaces. We're going to be picking out a number of people who are going to win some Solana. Tig's going to be the first one for this edit on the video. Anyone else who comments below, we'll be doing some picking throughout the show. Look at the @ in the YouTube comments as well. So shoot some of those out. I'll have Kicks maybe pick some of them as we're going here. But you got to check out Echo. There's big announcements coming this week. Currently, they have loot boxes they announced last week. Loot boxes essentially give you a chance at winning waves and USDC. So you can win just cash for opening these loot boxes. If you get waves, that's their point system. If you can imagine what a point system for a payment protocol could look like, I'll let your mind do some wondering. I'll let your mind do some wandering for what that could be down the road. When you're tracking points and activity, etc. Pop on Echo. You can go, they do daily quests where you basically just click a button. You can get referrals as well. They'll open up more loot boxes as you refer more people. Bodagos.com/Echo to sign up. Simple as that. We'll be sharing some winners throughout the show. You can be
let's go.
Nice screenshots there. But we're going to get into the show now. Kicks, how about you take it away with the weather report?
You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Monday, April 28th. Majors are up across the board with Bitcoin over 95K, Ethereum over 1,800. Solana sitting at 150. Zach XBT uncovered a massive $330 million Bitcoin hack. The funds were laundered through 6 exchanges through Monero, which caused XMR to spike 50% to over a $6 billion market cap before pulling back. Next up, we had a massive week from crypto ETFs. Bitcoin ETFs reported their second highest weekly inflow in history with over $3 billion of net inflows. Ethereum ETFs broke a multi-long streak of outflows as well. Finally, it was a busy weekend as usual for the Trump family as World Liberty Financial Leadership met with Binance founder CZ. Trump also came under fire for pay-to-play nature of Trump token dinner as senators demanded an ethics probe. That's it for the weather report. Back to you in the studio.
That was weird.
Excellent weather report as always. The Senate report's weird.
No, I was saying Trump's action. At this point, he's not my president.
Yeah, I mean the dinners. I mean, it's got to be the most expected thing you could see coming out of him, right? Like, why wouldn't there be a dinner for the Trump meme coin, given how like quote unquote successful the NFT dinners have been?
What? So how's the Trump coin? Can we pull up the Trump coin chart real quick? Because I mean, that would be the most insightful. It's not exactly surprising because this is the sort of thing that he's been offering for his NFTs, if I'm being completely honest. But can we pull up the chart there, Ray?
I'm working on it.
Ray's pulling up the chart. I mean, it is pretty wild. How many people, or it's 200 people, right? Top 200 holders.
Yes, and it's like it's not like just based on like pure holders. It's based off of like you have to opt in and sign in on the website. So
do you know any people who are in the top? Are you in the top 200 kicks?
No, I don't know any.
So what's the threshold? What's the cost to be in the top 200 right now?
I'll pull it up. I need to go to like their official page and look at their leaderboard. I know like just holders, like to be a top 200 holder of the coin, it's like 300 some thousand, but not
$300,000.
Yeah,
So
but not everyone who's
4.5 million.
Not everyone who's holding is registered on the leaderboard. You have to like do this.
Do you guys know anybody who? So I have a Bloomberg reporter that reached out to me that's looking for actual holders. Do you guys know anybody?
He's looking for an interview.
Well, he's working on an entire article on meme coins. I did a multi-day session with him where I gave him a full rundown on how the whole ecosystem works, my own opinions on it, blah, blah, blah. But it was a good conversation, but he texted me later and he was like, do you know anyone that owns this?
I don't know. I'd be careful. I'd be very careful with and like anytime I hear interview, red flags are going off in my head. Like, do you know this guy?
Why?
Don't click on any Zoom links because like
no, I know what you're saying, but it actually turns out, Ray, that I've been interviewed by many large publications in the past, and this guy is completely legit. And I have a deep experience with avoiding the scams, hopping on calls, and yeah. This guy's.
I just wanted to flag that for the audience because that's a common scam vector. So I don't want them to sit here and see like, oh, Nick's taking interviews about meme coins. Somebody's hit me up. This guy's from Bloomberg.
See, and now a scammer sees it. Boom, DMs one of our audience members. I'm from Bloomberg. You seem like a, related DGen, and I'd love to speak with you. By the way, yes, I was the guy that spoke with Nick O'Neill.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, just watch out for that. I can't register right now.
Audience members, beware. Association with me, Mr. Famous, comes with some security risks.
I don't own any Trump, so I can't even register for the leaderboard to see how much you need. But it was significantly less. It was like in the thousands of dollars, maybe even less than $1,000 based on the leaderboard on Friday.
Okay.
So it's essentially you have to opt in. So it'll be less than 300K. But probably more than 10K, somewhere in that range. Trump meme coin up
less than 300K, more than 10K.
That's my guess. That would be
that's a pretty fucking big range.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to tell who's going to opt in. If everyone opts in, it's 300K. If only a select few do, it's probably going to be at least 10K.
Okay, dude, I'm going to be honest. Your low end estimate feels a little wildly off.
Okay. All right.
Are you telling me that the 600 largest holder only owns 10K?
I don't know how many are in the U.S. How many care about going to a dinner?
Where's the
for Trump?
leaderboard? Did you ever
I
pull
need,
it?
okay, so I'm gonna need to buy Trump. Hold on, I need to buy Trump. I need to like export my wallet to this. Like, I can get there eventually, but it's gonna take me maybe like 3 or 4 minutes to do it.
Okay, well, don't do it right now, but I think this is a piece of information that would be helpful. But a range between $10,000 and $300,000 is wildly like that is a huge range.
I'm giving you my best
I'd pay
estimate right
10K. I would buy 10K of Trump token if I was guaranteed dinner with Trump. Like, I don't know. I think the number's got to be higher. It's got to be higher.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just giving a low end estimate. I apologize for not having the exact
somewhere
number.
between $1 and 300,000.
I hate you.
Like, what are we
We're gonna have such a fun week.
Okay.
Price action though on Trump. Are you interested here at all? So we've almost 2x'd off the bottom from lows under 750. We've more than 2x. We're up over $15 now. We're looking at a market cap of 3 billion. We're looking at an FDV of 15 billion. Is Trump a buy, a sell, or a hold here, in your opinion?
I got a question. Is it like, how can you argue that you're a meme coin once you're offering utility?
I don't know. I don't know if like Trump always like I feel like had or like it was like known it was going to have utility. I thought it was going to have utility. I feel like utility like varies. Like merch, like most meme coins have merch that is merch gated. Does that make you have utility and not a meme coin anymore?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. Kix, what do you think? Is this are we walking into security territory here? And is our president, did this make you think lesser of the guy that you voted for?
No, it didn't make me think lesser of him. Do I think it makes it security? Also, no. I think like the type of utility really matters, right? Also, I think things having utility doesn't necessarily even make them a security.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I kind of agree.
Like if he was like buying this coin gives you a percentage of World Liberty Financial's returns, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a way different form of utility than like, you know, merch, going to dinner, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 dude.
That's what my, that's what
blah, blah, blahs, dog.
That's what my mom always told me. Okay, so Ray, I was going to say, we're discussing the Trump one. I'm interested to zoom out and see the broader charts here to just see what's going on because, oh my gosh, are things pumping, huh?
I would love that. So you can look at majors, and this morning, everything is just kind of like up across the board. I'm not sure why, to be honest.
Look, here's the deal, Ray. I think that crypto is projecting the end of the trade war. I think that it's front running the end of it. And there's a lot of, dude, we've been doing a lot of stock action recently. And let me tell you, we've been doing well on that front. From Easy's Robinhood trade to did you see my Pinterest trade? Did you take a look at the stock?
Pull it up.
Yeah,
I want to see it.
Okay, now I got to pull these things up. Geez, here. I'll pull it up. So let's first look at Kix. What's your position here? Are you entering back in? Like what? I know you were like fitty cash. What's your position right now? Cash, what percent?
Yeah. So cash, what percent? Cash still 50%.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of how I'm thinking. So when we were bleeding out in early March, I did some kind of MACD forward. Where were we going to bottom? And because of how hard alts bled out, I said, I think last week of March, first week of April would be the best time to buy any of these alts. And if you look at all of these alts, and pretty much everything in general, they bottomed out April 7th, April 8th. And
right around here.
yeah. And then ranged, and then over like the last, like had a little pump range, and then over like the last week or so rallied. But if you pull up like any stock, any meme coin, that was like the clear bottom. And the whole thesis with the altcoins rallying super hard was that they got beaten down so hard, right? Like something goes down 90% plus, it's really easy to get a 3x or get multiples off of the bottom. The tricky thing right now, as you said, yeah, if people are pricing in the trade war just completely ending and everything going back to normal, then that would have been the bottom. But I think like the market structure for me is much more complex than that. I'm trying to get back into spending like more time and energy trading and trying to be a good trader. And I'm trying to do that with a framework this time around and trying to have a better understanding of where I feel things are going on different time frames. So this is what I have. I think this week is definitely bullish. But on a month range, I'm neutral. On a quarter range, I'm actually leaning a little bit bearish maybe. There's a couple factors. One is just technicals. So first of all, Bitcoin has been doing phenomenal, right? But Bitcoin has actually been on its longest bull run in history. If you just look at like from the bottom with like price continuing to appreciate, right? If you look at Bitcoin on the monthly, right, you can see the MACD, it's been holding up very well for a long period of time. But if you pull up Ethereum, or if you even pull up on Solana, we've had crosses into the red on the MACD on the monthly. Even the S&P and NASDAQ have flipped red on the monthly. But on the weekly, we have a really nice curl up. And just look at how insane that wick is.
That candle's insane.
Yeah, that candle's fucking insane. So here's the thing is, from a technical perspective, I would say that
though, holy shit. I mean, the answer was just buy it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just money debasement, right? Yeah, and it's better just to long and hold things than be a trader. But yeah, so on the weekly, things look very nice, like they could continue and have a good run going into May. But there's a couple tricky factors, right? Especially when you're thinking about just what's happening with the economy. First of all, like the tariff, like China trade has been very much damaged, right? But we haven't seen the impacts of that yet. But you have to think the impacts of that are going to start to materialize, right? So unless a significant deal with China comes in the next month, then the technicals make sense to me, which is that we've already had a relief rally. We're going to have some extension of that relief rally, and then things are going to go down, potentially double bottom. And then the deals will start to actually get materialized. Maybe we get some Fed printing, et cetera, et cetera. So I really think that like April, like the beginning of April was the time where you wanted to be buying alt stocks or alt coins, right? So if you bought Pengu first week of April, you're up like 3x, right? If you bought things like Robinhood in the beginning of April, you're up 50, 60%. Whenever we're in bear markets, there's tons of relief rallies. If you look at what we saw in 2022 with stocks and with crypto, there was at least 2, if not 3 relief rallies, right? Where they bottom out and you have this really nice run, a bunch of people get sucked back in, and then you dump back down. to new lows. So I think if you're looking to trade things on a short timeline, I think that this next week could be very good. But I'm still personally bearish to neutral over the next month. That, of course, next month, next quarter, that could be invalidated by a big deal materializing, specifically with China. And the thing is, yes, traditionally we have the sell in May, go away, right? And if we're bearish on a quarterly scenario, it's pretty much May, right? That gets us through the summer, and that would be like another bottom, whether it's a double bottom, in like September, October. And then that could be a great time to buy things that you could actually think on a yearly horizon you're feeling pretty bullish. But yeah, I just think that there's some things that you have to have caution with. You know, like Bitcoin has been on a very long run, and in a good way, where it's still getting what feels like the benefit of it being like a tech stock, but now it's starting to feel like a gold and people are buying it. But yeah, this is a perfect example right here. So if you look on the weekly, right, you see the weekly MACD curl looks very nice.
So
yeah.
One thing that is PO will tell you kicks. Bitcoin goes up only. So you're just starting to learn that. Basically, it's up only technology that was developed long ago, and that's what you're currently experiencing. Groundbreaking technology. Never existed in the history of society before, but here we are, up only.
Something that's both a store of value and a levered bet on the NASDAQ at the same time.
Yes. I saw an article over the weekend that was suggesting that the correlation between the NASDAQ and Bitcoin has actually strengthened during this market, yet we keep talking about the decoupling.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's not clear. We also have something to look at would be the Bitcoin versus gold. I mean, gold weekly on a little bit of a pause. We saw it rally as high as 3,500 here. We're currently sitting at 3,300. A little bit of a pause while Bitcoin, I guess, is catching up. Could be what you could be an argument if you were, to suggest there's a correlation between those two things.
Yeah, but if you pulled up the NASDAQ and the Bitcoin chart, it looks way more like that than the gold chart.
You're saying this versus, let's just throw on, am I able to, yes, I am. Look at that, dude. Look at that. So here's what we're looking at. Well, Bitcoin is definitely outperforming. But we'll go, I'll reduce the time frame that we're going on. And there we go. I mean, Bitcoin just outperforming like a boss. Again, because it does have up-only technology.
Great technology.
But what we're seeing here is maybe all that this suggests is that Bitcoin is a higher beta to the NASDAQ, basically. Although that said, look at this range. You got NASDAQ from, what is this, end of January through October, seeing an increase of what? Looks like 15%, while Bitcoin just stays stagnant during that time. And you would say, oh my God, NASDAQ outperforming Bitcoin. But then if you waited a couple weeks, kadoosh, as the financial analysts call it, you see a substantial jump in Bitcoin. So it is correlated, but higher beta, and it's not. I don't know. I'd be interested. Where can you get the? How can I get the weekly sort of corollary? Like, how can I get like a daily beta score? Like, chart the beta. Is that even possible?
Bitcoin versus US equities correlation chart.
Bitcoin, NASDAQ correlation
Here's
chart. Let me see.
something I found just at first glance.
Uh,
There's gold here as well. I sent it in the private chat. This is S&P versus Bitcoin versus.
Interesting.
correlation.
Okay, so yep. I found one here. Maybe the one that you is it newhedge.io?
Yes.
So here I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna pull this one up just so we can take a look real quick. This is the type of analysis you get when I'm on the show, even though Kix was the one that just provided you the analysis. But I'm very clear that I'm. So this chart, this bottom one seems to be the correlation here up at this level. So right now we're seeing, wow, look at that. Oh, this only goes back to March. You got to pay for monthly. Look at this, as high as 0.84 correlation, but down to as low as this. I don't know what this determines with this though. Like what happens? Can you change the duration over that correlation?
Yeah. So Nick, if you click on the correlation, you can click and drag on that chart.
Oh, hold on. How do I go back? Let me just refresh this. So here we go. So let's go over this duration. Yeah, I mean, we went from this is the disconnect. Wow, this is a really nice chart. So you're seeing a disconnect here.
When Trump
Back.
launched, right?
During July.
Oh, that's July, not January.
Yeah. And then it starts to become more correlated. To a max correlation here, 0.93 correlation back in October. That's insane. What's interesting is this seems to vary. So it varies from day to day, this chart. This is the daily correlation. And my interpretation of this is it just oscillates. So I'd be interested in a weekly correlation. Let's take the Bitcoin versus gold correlation. This one, not as correlated as the NASDAQ. We don't even see it. Well, man, this is weird doing a weekly or daily correlation, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, I don't think that really matters.
Like this chart doesn't show us anything interesting. Like, look at it just oscillating. I'd be interested in like a weekly correlation on this. Because yeah, this
and plug it into
I mean, you can just look at the charts moving together. I mean, they're
yeah. Good call. We saw a little bit of a disconnect here, right? Is that what you would describe this area here, Kix? Uncorrelated, back into correlated, correlated. What's interesting here, Bitcoin, a little bit of a disconnect. This is the first time that gold has been leading in a long time. Look what happened last time. Let me just undo that chart. This is maybe one of the best ones that we look at. Bitcoin not correlated, gold taking off, Bitcoin surges, comes back, flips above, dumps below, comes back, always reaches. So
yeah,
this
like
would
the tricky thing looking at this is like not knowing also like what like the NASDAQ was like doing, right? Because they're not in a vacuum with each other.
You can get real crazy. Just click that Bitcoin correlations chart there.
Here you go. Well, can you just turn off? So we, oh, no,
Yeah,
no, no.
You can.
So you go like this.
You
Yeah,
can
and then
click on
the
individual
QQQ.
ones. Yeah.
And then what do we want else here?
You want gold, SPY, and Bitcoin.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Listeners, right now on X, we're looking at a beautiful chart that shows us clear indicators. Now,
there's more lines on this chart than next chart.
This chart is wild. This is ridiculous. What was that chart circulating the other day? The global M2 chart?
I saw some people sharing that. PO was talking about apparently somebody like changed how they measured M2, and there was like an M2 chart that was like bogus that was circulating that had M2 just going like 2x where it was in the next 2 weeks.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's basically like
insult.
It's basically like if you predict the future and M2 supply goes up by 50%, then Bitcoin goes to the moon.
I got you the
Yeah.
information you were looking for earlier, Nick. Here,
What's that?
Trump leaderboard.
Here you go. So where does 200 lie?
200 is 1,000.
Slightly off from your
Or
oh,
1,000.
1,000. That's not a lot.
1,000
Yeah.
tokens?
This is 1,000 tokens, or 1,000 tokens. So that's $15,000.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Should we get in on this action?
So close. So another thing here is it's time weighted. So it's looking at your current Trump holdings, but it's all looking at your time weighted holdings. This is what the leaderboard's based off of.
So you
Calculated
can't
based
just
on
like
the
buy
amount
right
of information.
before.
Yeah. The longer you hold, the higher your weighted score becomes.
That's pretty whack.
Yeah. So this person has 15 million tokens here. I think this might be Justin's son. It's like actually Justin's son. Yeah. Then like 240, like 600 some tokens is 240. But 15 grand is currently getting somebody into the dinner. It's interesting because they sold it. It looks like no current tokens, but time weighted tokens 1,000.
Here's the M2, the money supply. And I want to talk meme coins as well real quick because people are printing money and I'm not. And I'm a little bit pissed off about it because I haven't been participating. What was I doing? Hanging out at an amusement park with children over the weekend. That's what I was doing. And I was the child as well. Okay. This chart doesn't look as bullish. This is the M2 supply catching up to Bitcoin.
Not as bullish as the one that just went straight up.
M2 growth.
We're looking for like M2 like forecast, I think, right?
Yes. Which is funny how everyone's doing that. But right now, the Fed is not printing money because they're concerned about inflation, which would be a completely legitimate position. That's the thing that I'm a little bit skeptical of. Remember last year how everyone was like, and in Q1, the Fed's going to start. Or here was the first scheme. You know the Fed's going to step in because they want Biden to win again or whatever. They want Harris to win in this case. And they're going to go cut interest rates. Didn't happen. So that was the first thing. Oh, here we go. This is how they're going to flip the election. Here's how it's going to happen. They're going to flip the election. And that didn't happen. Then now we have, then there was the saying, you know, by Q2 2025, they're definitely going to start cutting interest rates. Here it comes. And now we're seeing inflation go up because of Trump's trade war. Why would the Federal Reserve start cutting interest rates right now? We saw the 10-year price drop, aka the interest rate rise, which means that right now all the signs are flashing recession, which who knows what that even means anymore. It used to be meaningful for something, but now it just literally doesn't matter at all. But the implication is that interest rates are going to go up. But like, I don't know. Right now, I just don't see the Fed changing anything because the target interest rate is 2%. That's really all that the Fed is focused on. If there was suddenly like an economic disaster, then, you know, Jerome Powell did come out with that statement a few weeks ago, I guess, that was like, we would be ready to prepared to step in essentially. And everyone was like, oh shit, you know what that means. You know what that means. You know what's coming. Money printer goes burr. And this overall position on it, I think the reality is we just lived through the most insane money printing cycle in history, basically, from COVID, from like it started back a while ago with the 90s, followed by the 2000s, followed by like the financial crisis. So that we needed money printing to hop in to resolve things there. COVID, money printing to resolve that situation. So all we've been doing is, but I think what needs to happen is those all happen during crisis moments. And so everyone's acting like the COVID moment that we just experienced was the norm, which it's not. And I just think everyone's so dependent, and we have an entire generation of people that are just used to like just waiting on that moment to happen. And the interim, Bitcoin's been doing Bitcoin things. It's been doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think the biggest issue with the interest rates right now, my understanding is the problem is that there's close to $10 trillion of US debt that is maturing or needs to be refinanced this year. And with where the average interest rate that we pay on our debt is like 3.2%. And right now the interest rates are obviously close to double that. And so if you have to refinance 25% of your debt at double the interest,
well, what duration do we refinance at? So over what time?
well, that's the question. Under Biden's term, they did a lot of short-term financing, and that's why we have a shit ton maturing in 2025. They kind of kick the can down the road to the next admin. So that's the I think one of the battles that we're seeing right now is that like if interest rates don't come down, then what you do is you have to refinance 25% of your debt at double the interest rate. Interest payments will balloon. So it'll either accelerate the debt yearly deficit that the government runs, or just a ton of people's tax dollars will have to go to pay for that. So I think that's the big challenge happening in the market right now, right? Is that like there's a lot of reasons that interest rates need to come down, right? Like so people can buy houses, so that businesses can grow and expand, right? So that the US government can refinance. But then on the flip side of the equation, to your point, the reason why interest rates are the Fed's hesitant to bring them down is because of things like housing prices being super expensive, the stock market being super expensive, inflation potentially being persistent. So it's kind of like a movable force against an unstoppable force.
Real quick, let me pull up something to counter the propaganda that you're currently spewing. Let me just show a little something here. Interest rates on the short-term basis are lower than they were a year ago. So we're not in a situation where we're going to have to refinance at a higher rate. All bonds are currently lower, other than if you go back to 2023, everything over 5-year and over is higher than in 2023. That said, all interest rates are lower than 2024. So anything that was last year, we're currently lower. All the short-term yields are lower on the up through 2 years. In fact, one interesting thing that I would argue here is in both cases, the yield curve is relatively flat. That said, this would be a pretty strong yield curve overall, that we see the future is higher, the short term is lower. I'd like to see the shorter term ones come down even lower. But we had an inverted yield curve last year, signaling a recession. And now we're going from an inverted yield curve towards a steady one. So
but I think if you put $10 trillion through one of those, the numbers would probably go up a lot.
Here's the interest rate, average interest rate and total debt here. So looking at 2024, we were at 3.32% average interest rate on 34T of debt.
Interesting.
Treasury.gov.
Which makes sense. If someone's in that much debt, you want to give them the best interest rate in the world? Probably
not. Well, how did it go down during that period? What year did it go down? What was that down?
COVID, when interest rates went to nothing.
Yeah, this is 2020. This is 2021. The average interest rate went from 1.77 to 1.6, and then we started moving back up. So
where are we financing that?
The old fucking warlock Janet Yellen decided to refinance it all on 2-year bases instead of 10 or 15.
Very interesting. Well, that was an interesting chart, Ray. You countered the counter.
Yeah, I mean, you were looking at 1 year span, and I feel like a lot of these are probably older bonds. That's why I brought it up.
That is very insightful. Well, we're definitely higher than the 3.5 that you mentioned. If you go out with a 2-year, you can get at 3.7. Someone said, why didn't we refi everything during COVID? And I think you need to wait for maturity of the debt. Is that the way that it works? Or can you just refinance? I don't know how it works.
I don't know either.
Can we get the macroeconomist on this show? Kicks. Tell me how it works.
I have no fucking clue. I do know that a lot of debt was like done in 2021 and 2022. I just know that Janet Yellen did it on short-term time horizons. She didn't do them on 10-year loans or 30-year loans. And who knows why she did it? Maybe she did it because no one wanted to finance that much debt for 10 years. Yeah, way above my pay grade in terms of complexity. What I do know is that we've seen nice rallies off of the lows across the board. S&P, NASDAQ, crypto, altcoins, everything. So I think at this level, you have a lot of things that are starting to come back up to their moving averages after getting absolutely whacked. And that's where I feel a little bit more cautious. And to go back to what we talked about at the beginning of this show, where Nick said basically, if trade deals come through, like let's be honest, like the trade deal with Japan or the trade deal with India or some other country, yeah, that could be a little short-term pump or something like that. But everybody knows what the real thing is, and it's China, right?
China.
And coming to an actual deal with China, that's the $1 million question. If that happens in this next month and it like actually happens and is solidified this month, then I'd say April 7th was the lows, and we're looking really good here. If that doesn't happen, right, then like the actual effect of these tariffs are going to start setting in, and that's going to be a lot of bearish pressure. So I think we're definitely at coming to a crossroads in early May. Having said that, though, if you look at the ETH chart, like the ETH chart looks like that even if we have bad news over the next couple of months, like ETH is bottoming, I'd say somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500, and it's going to bottom sometime in the next 2 or 3 months. So there's different levels to like where things are progressing, right? Like if you were just to go off of the MACD charts and you had none of these tariff concerns or anything like that, like I would be shorting like Solana on this rally.
Ray, hit the breaking news sound.
It's the best I got.
Kicks, hit the breaking news sound.
Breaking news coming here live.
Breaking news coming out of the crypto market right now. Michael Saylor back buying Bitcoin yet again, adding 15,355 Bitcoin. He's not going to let the other Bitcoin treasury companies catch up to him. No, he drops another $1.5 billion on everybody, and he's almost fully depleted the $21 billion capital raise that he did recently. This guy's FOMOing into Bitcoin like there is no tomorrow, helping pump those prices to the moon. Back to you guys in the studio.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of Bitcoin. That's more than the guy that got hacked.
Saylor's never going to be depleted. He's going to keep re-upping.
Just another billion at 92K average.
Ray, we all die. And I'm telling you, our energy does get lower. As someone who's, 43 right now, I'll tell you, the energy starts to fall off some. I'm like an old man just walking around, crooked back, struggling.
Special senior lines at Epic.
I did.
Yeah, 1.4. This is a big buy. This is the biggest buy in recent memory. I'd have to look at the exact numbers, but this is a very, very large,
very big buy. Dropping it on faces, just absolutely. Michael Saylor, the man of the hour. What do we think of this 21 company, though? Pio's loving it. It's a pure play version of MicroStrategy.
Yeah, they're very. What's his name? Jack Mallers, right? he's very focused on capital efficiency. So his like thing with the Bitcoin acquisition is basically like simple mission is grow Bitcoin per share and do it efficiently. So like none of the other stuff, basically just trying to accretively dilute shares to where you have more Bitcoin day 2 than you did day 1 when you buy shares of this company. I haven't checked the chart this morning. I believe it's Cantor CEP. Is that right? Cantor Equity. But yeah, like this thing's been up only since they made this announcement. It'll eventually. Oh, sorry. I just.
Well, their market cap's at 403 million. I like that as a buy just because 1 billion market cap seems inevitable. I have another question. What's the deal with? So I'm in formerly Janover, now called DeFi, whatever the hell it is, but still with the ticker JNVR. And they just came out with a statement saying they're buying $1 billion in Solana. Doesn't that imply that the market cap is probably going to end up being 2 billion then? And right now it's sitting at 76 million. Like, is this not an easy 20x?
I mean, how are they buying the billion?
Well, they're pulling a MicroStrategy thing.
Yeah, let's bring up their announcement. This is last week they made this announcement, right?
Yeah. Because like if they're buying it with like debt, right, then like your assets and liabilities kind of like offset each other, right? Like it would only do a 20x if Solana did a 20x.
Well, MicroStrategy's financed some of it with debt. He's gone to the debt markets in order to finance part of it, but he's ended up with these 0% Bitcoin bonds. So wouldn't the and then he also sells additional shares. Aren't all these people just following the same playbook right now? Everyone's FOMOing in because the whole idea. I saw a Bloomberg article this weekend, which essentially was saying that right now the market is paying upwards of 3x the net value, the net holdings of these companies. In the case of 21, I think it's 3x the Bitcoin they have. So if they're trading at 500, or I'll call it 600 million, then they're holding 200 million worth of Bitcoin. Now, the question, there's a couple of questions here. Is the public market going to keep paying a 3x premium or 2x premium? My guess is no.
I think that's really dumb. And like, once again, the price of the whatever you're buying is essentially super correlated to the asset that they're holding, right? So it's like, once again, like Janover can't do a 20x unless you think Solana is going to do a 20x. And a lot of these things are going to get absolutely blown up if whatever they're owning goes down. I'm not saying MicroStrategy, but I'm saying like ones like these at a $76 million market cap. You know, if Solana goes to $80, I don't think this chart's going to look very good.
Michael Saylor's not going to get liquidated, but some of these smaller companies that are implementing the strategy very much so could, especially when they're jumping on now when we're near like not at all-time highs, but like approaching all-time highs. I know Michael Saylor's average buy is much lower. It would take a much bigger move down to kind of trigger him being in the negative on the trade.
Yeah. Like every crypto asset seems to be in a bear market and may be coming to the end of what you would consider a bear market rally, except for Bitcoin. So I don't know. I would be cautious really aping into things that are backed by, you know, just Solana, because you're pretty much just buying Solana. And then what you should just ask yourself is, why don't I just buy Solana?
I think Solana could run 20% and this would run 3x.
Yeah, I mean, it could for sure. I mean, that I would consider the buyers to be very stupid, but that doesn't matter.
So my general thought with the one like Janover is basically they're just acquiring more of the assets. So even if the
Price
premium even if the premium compresses, they still have more assets. And yes, I guess if you included, even if the price goes down, shouldn't this still even 10x if they're paying, let's say it's 0.8 of the underlying. Let's say there's a negative premium on this, which I guess, what's the inverse of a premium? deficit. I have no idea what the term is. But basically, let's say you're paying 0.8. Doesn't this go up? Ray was right with this one. Did you buy any of this, Ray?
I didn't buy any of these.
The market cap is 22 million on this. How much have they bought?
Checking right now.
Checking, pulling it up. Enhance.
It says I remember this because I was looking at a Twitter post saying that Janover's has like a higher like Solana per share here. It looks like they raised $100 million. Upexi did to buy Sol. I'm not sure how much Sol they hold. I'm still working on that, but $100 million investment to develop a Solana strategy. This was broke last week, so I'm not sure
so I saw that, and they're raising debt for it, but they're trading at 22 million. So why is that? Is it because it's debt? Is that the concern? Is it because it's not a pure play? What's the reason? I think a lot of these are also shaking out. So like the current, like these all have to consolidate towards the price of whatever their underlying assets are, right?
Yeah. You would
Like,
think.
It has to.
It's kind of like, remember when, wasn't there some sort of like ETH trade?
ETHE was one of them. Was the what's the name? Grayscale Trust, and you had the Bitcoin Grayscale Trust, which was BTCD or something like that.
And
I forget.
people, like a lot of hedge funds were like arbing the differential for a while. Like, here's the thing: the music can keep playing longer than people can expect, but eventually, kind of, it gets back to reality, right? Is what I would say. So I'm not saying not buy any things or not do any of these things, but like, for example, like MicroStrategy, right? Their average cost per Bitcoin now is like $66,000, right?
Yep, that's about right. After this buy, it probably went up a hair. I can see if I can find that. That's one of the things I don't think they publish on their main site.
Yeah, so I mean, like if Bitcoin went to 50K, it'd probably be pretty bad for the price of MicroStrategy. I'm just saying, once again, these things aren't independent of what they're buying, you know?
That's also the thing that I was always confused about as well. Everyone came out and was talking about how bullish it is that these companies can price their Bitcoin holdings fairly. In the short term, that can hurt. In the long term, I guess it's good because the theory is Bitcoin goes up forever. That sort of, do you believe that, Kix? Is that your thesis?
That like Bitcoin goes up forever?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like forever is like a really bold statement for like, you know, something that's been around for 15 years, right?
Yeah, I got in a literal fight this weekend. I'm giving you a peek inside my relationship, but shit. 1 second. 1 second. Sorry, I just had to
get the blue.
I just made a mistake. I just charged someone $9 when I shouldn't have.
All right. While you figure that out, here's the other one. Sol Strategies raised $500 million last week. This one's at a 482 million market cap. This is a Canadian company, publicly traded in Canada. The HODL ticker. They also have been working on this like crypto acquisition strategy through Solana, and they went from 55 cents to a peak over $6. Now they're trading at 325. So another one to watch on the Solana side. But interesting to see how these are all going to perform. Like, especially if we get like a true bull market, I'd be interested to see like what multiples these trade, because I feel like you get FOMO on the crypto side, and then the leverage FOMO could even like cause them to trade at a higher multiple on holdings or a higher premium.
Have you been trading any of the meme coins over this weekend?
I haven't been trading them, but I've been following them. I have like a pretty extensive list of what went on. I don't know if you want to talk about them now. Maybe save them for tomorrow. I'm good either way.
When you said extensive, give us a quick rundown. I'm curious about the summary here, and what am I missing out? Am I supposed to be participating? Where are we at right now with this?
Yeah, so we saw a number of runners. Let's Bonk launched on the Bonk Memecoin Launchpad on Friday, I believe. This thing ran to over 25 million, I think almost 30 million. It's now at 11 million, showing a little bit of life there on the Bonk side. Unit PC, the Bonk guy, quote unquote, has been both posting this ticker. It's basically named after the Bonk Launchpad, was launched on the Bonk Launchpad as well. Another ticker over the weekend that caught traction was MVG, 100 men versus 1 gorilla. This is at a $3.2 million market cap. Basically, the premise here is somebody posted on X and it went viral saying like who would win in a fight, 100 unarmed men or 1 gorilla. And apparently that's caught like the attention of everyone. Mr. Beast quote tweeted it saying like, hey, let's make this happen. It sent it to 6 million. It's now pulled back 50% from there, 3.3 million. Housecoin is another token that was of interest over the weekend. And some hard shilling this on the timeline. Sent this thing from a pretty impressive initial 11 million, sent it all the way up to basically 30 million on his tweet to continue to push it. We're up at 64 million right now for Housecoin on Solana. Up 14% on the day, up 7x from its lows late last week. So that's like the meme coin action I've been watching. In terms of participation, like I guess you could look at the like MVG. You can look for like it's like kind of the standard playbook on virality when you basically just look at a meme coin's price versus the amount of like virality the initial post gets. I think it's I'm not sure. I think it's like 80 million on the initial post at this point. I can't even find it, but it's over 80 million impressions on the initial post of this man versus gorilla. So when you see like that sort of virality like take place, you can maybe make a small bet, and then it's kind of like a hold game because you need additional catalysts to kind of push it. Like you're looking for like a major influencer to push. You're looking for like a Mr. Beast to talk about it. We kind of saw the same thing when we were talking about like Ice Bucket Challenge, and you saw like celebrities doing it because this thing ran sideways between like 2 and 3 for almost 24 hours before Mr. Beast pushed it. At this point, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole, but it kind of gives more credence to that like social media virality thesis we've been kind of working forward. Is there anything you saw over the weekend that was interesting, Nick, in terms of pure play meme coins?
No. I mean, I discussed a couple last night on my video. I don't even remember what they were. I saw that a bunch of them pumped. The one that I've been looking at is Pudgy or Pengu 3xing, which is not. Is Pengu a meme coin? I don't know what to consider it. Like, I don't even know if I bucket it into that. The ones that I've also been seeing are the AI tokens. Have been pumping. So we saw virtuals pump and then some within the ecosystem pump. Virtuals is one that I always looked up to from a structural basis. I just thought it was very interesting how they built that ecosystem where you need the virtuals token to like all the liquidity pools were built in virtuals. And I just thought that was really fascinating. Or I guess it's a virtual token, but yeah, this one has done very well. Wow, at 820 million right now. It just continues to pump. This is the most interesting to me in the quote AI space. What's the all-time high for this one?
I think $3 billion touched. Yeah, $3 billion.
This one is very interesting. And the fact what's very cool right now is to see which ones zero bro or whatever, however you say it, pumped as well. What was the one that Thread Guy was deep in?
Goat.
How's that doing?
Not as well as the other majors in the AI section.
Dude, these rebounds are really the best signal you can get, I think, in this space to see where things will probably continue off of the dump. Now, I don't know if, like Kix was saying, was essentially offering a cautious outlook in the market because we're seeing the monthly is not yet completely signaled bullish. The weekly is not signaled fully bullish. But we're like, so they're like, I'd be cautious here, but this is giving you, it's kind of the market's revealing its cards essentially.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
is really cool to watch. And I think that like if you're seeing any pump, it's not looking bad. If you're seeing action on this, what was the low? So we saw 80 million market cap on this. What was the? I mean, that's pretty good. You're getting a 2x off the low. The best ones did 3x, but I think this is very interesting because if you do get a return, and meme coins overall, the whole market, it stayed very liquid, more so than NFTs did during their bear market, which just makes me think this has sustainability, and I'm really interested. There was like an argument on X this weekend amongst the Ilya from Vector and Chartfu, and they were going back and forth on. Chartfu was just giving him a hard time, and Ilya said they're working on some new shit, but basically, Vector has not been the top performing meme coin trading app, but it was crushing it for a period of time. And the reality is if you go look at the charts on Pump Fund on what's that decent the analytics platform? Dune, yeah. If you go on Dune and take a look at Pump Fund, users are not flooding back in, but volume has increased, and the number of new tokens created has increased, and so that's interesting. Is when new users start coming in, I'm going to be way more excited. But we're seeing like insane volume. So you're seeing, sorry, you're
getting there. So here's the addresses. Maybe we've bottomed at like 140K new addresses. We've seen kind of a spike over the weekend.
Yes. I'd like to see this really ramp up. What is this one? Those are number of tokens.
Number of trades on Radium versus Pump Fund.
So yeah, we're seeing more activity. You can sense it. Well, what's that one? Sorry, scroll back up one more. This one.
Volume. Pump Fund versus Radium volume. Radium,
okay.
37% of Pump Fund is impressive with their Launchpad. One of these, I'm trying to find the
one. Radium also open up the bonk, bonk integration, and I tweeted about it, but people are less excited about it. But I think they're missing the story potentially here, which is if you look at these tokens, the Radium basically launched a token Launchpad, which is very interesting. If you're a developer, if you have an audience, that didn't exist in NFTs. It did, but like you had, who was the competitor to OpenSea? Starts with an R.
Rare or looks rare.
Rarible. Rarible had created a platform for it, but just it's impossible to build an NFT marketplace. But the Launchpad was the coolest part of this, not the marketplace. And I think being able to have your own Launchpad built into an app, if you can go build the front end for it, it's very interesting. And so I think this is pretty cool what they built. I don't know what we're going to see market-wise as a result, but bottom line is we've seen the meme coin market probably bottom, and the market showing its cards right now. And we're seeing AI tokens are still very interesting. Virtuals are looking interesting. If you're looking for 5Xs, 10Xs, some of these things, we saw 3X on Pengu over the past freaking like in less than a week. That's huge. That's huge returns. That's what you were looking for. That's what we're looking for on Solana over the next over like months or potentially even year. And so you can still get those returns right now, and it's looking very compelling. And I think the market's showing its cards. I'm pretty excited.
I think we're seeing a good amount of that on the AI side, especially. on the call sheet today, I just have like a number of AI coins that like have been looking super strong.
Mhm.
We have ALK. This one like tapped all-time highs at 200 million off the bottom. AIXBT is
Wow.
looking.
What
AI,
is this?
this is ALK. So basically, this launched last fall, like in the heat of meme coins, and essentially they basically are a no-code like game creation AI product. So like you can make games via prompt. They like
Mhm.
wrap that whole process essentially.
And integrated a token into it?
Yeah, well, they launched a token first. We were looking at this token like way back when on one of the Bodaga's meme coin streams in Discord. And we saw this token launch and we're like, this seems like a scam, and then ended up turning into like a fair launch, like AI play that ran pretty hard last.
I will say when sometimes the bearishness on here is a good signal that one should participate.
Yeah, no, 100%. We talked about Big being bearish for a while before that thing topped off.
Where are we at right now with Big?
I want to say we're still in that $3 range. I haven't seen it move much either way, but we'll take
I thought it went down to as low as $1.50.
I've been following it because I'm not holding 3.1.
3.1 million.
40, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the market cap. I guess the market cap is tough for this coin because it's constantly being emitted, right, over time. So
Yeah, I guess in theory.
Price is a better. Yes, this is a tough one for you, huh? Have you gotten back your initials yet? Are you close?
I think no. I think I've lost probably $1,000 on this.
Could be
but
worse.
there's still money coming out. But it's difficult because you try and like all I'm doing is selling to get initials. Like I'm not adding more right now. So that's like a difficult place to be. That said, the chart actually, if you look at, the last week, well, what's 7 days so the 21st, it's basically been flat for the past week. Flat to down. What was the peak there? No. That's that peak.
215.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's a better time to participate right now. I don't know. But trying to add more to the Ponzi here seems a little bit questionable.
Another token I have highlighted here to take a peek at is Cookie on Base. This is the AI analytics for AI agents. They track mindshare and a ton of data around AI specific tokens and their AI agents. This one has maybe found bottom and is rounding up 2x off the bottoms. Has a product, could be one that bounces back if we see like a crazy AI push and people are going to basically pay Cookie token to access that data. And then AI agents basically leverage Cookie's data to like train too. So
Cookie
like
monster.
Looking at. And on the small cap side, I'm looking at a couple others. I'm looking at Jeff by Faraway. That's like below $1 million now. They're launching cool stuff on F Chain coming up with basically trying to copy what Wayfinder's doing, essentially do the same thing. Wayfinder saw some initial success with prompts launch, but it's been pretty flat on that side. So Jeff is something I'm looking at on the smaller cap side. They can get DeFi done correctly for AI agents. That's interesting to me. Is there anything you've been catching your eye on the AI side, Kicks?
I haven't bought anything new lately. I was tempted to buy some Vader at 12 million, but got distracted. It's at 30 now, so that's been rallying really nicely. So all the coins around, like pair to virtuals have done super well with the virtuals rally. I know I've been following. I think it's OSF was buying a lot of AI coins on the way down. So he has a pretty good list of strong AI coins. So I've been following him for those. But yeah, just the tough thing for me is, I should have listened to my own advice, but last week of March, first week of April was the time to buy a lot of these things. I think if you're getting into alt right now, you're pretty much betting that in the next month, like the trade war completely evaporates. I think that's the kind of bet you're making, right? And so for me, I just don't feel super confident that that's definitely going to happen. But yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. You know, these things bleed out, and then as soon as the majors turn around, you get like monster rips. Like if you longed a lot of these, you're up at least 3x, if not more. Like I think Vader at the bottom for one day, I think it went to 6 million or 5 million. So I mean, that's a clean 6x off of the lows, which is pretty awesome. Like that's a hell of a trade. But yeah, as I said this morning, my big plan is to try to get much more deeper into trading. And of course, I love AI. And when I was trading a lot in December, I said that this was like wave 1 of the cycle, right? And I think what's really cool to see is how strong AI. I think AI has been the strongest alt sector by far with this rebound. And Nick was kind of alluding to that too. I think that's the market showing its cards, which is that it thinks AI in crypto is incredibly interesting and exciting. So regardless of what happens over the next month or two, I think this is like valid. This is the same as meme coins in 2023 and 2024, right? And like every time you're getting a pump in the market, the meme coins like Pepe and stuff like that were going bananas, right? We're starting to see those like same signals on the AI front. We also had Paradigm putting $50 million into, I'm going to butcher the name, Noose Research, which is building decentralized AI compute on maybe Solana at $1 billion market cap. You know, Paradigm, very, very smart chads. So for them to be putting a big bet in on a AI company, I think is further validation that AI X crypto is going to be pretty big. But once I get my trading framework humming and I really want to long alts, I'm going to definitely be looking deep into AI.
In terms of catalyst for AI, I haven't dug into this yet, but I think a lot of it is Virtuals has this Launchpad now, where there's like point system and stuff. And as you like participate in different launches, you also get like preferred early access to other ones.
That's
so
cool.
It's that same Ponzi flywheel they were running before. Because if you remember when Virtuals first launched, like holding like the major Virtuals tokens, like if you held Vader early, you held Game early, you were getting airdrops of like the future tokens or allocations.
So they've like baked that into their actual platform now.
Yeah.
That's smart.
So I think that's part of it here. And some people are jumping this early. A good follow on this AI stuff is ICO Beast. He's pretty on top of it. And he's beginning to post about a lot of the AI agents again.
That's where I ended up seeing. Yeah, that was who I ended up seeing talking about it. So I was like, oh, interesting.
And these Genesis launches, they've traded it up. They've changed it out to like get rid of like snipers and stuff like that, right? It's basically like everyone that gets in. It's like a pre-sale essentially.
Yep. Yeah. Essentially, there's fixed FDV that everyone gets equal like pricing at, and then allocations determined after.
That's smart.
You bid points and you earn points from like buying and holding these things. So essentially, you earn your points, you bid your points to get into these launches. So it's still a matter of like figuring out which ones are like legit.
We've gone so over on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was worried we're going to struggle this week, but we're killing it. Okay. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap here? We've been almost running an hour and a half.
No.
I'm good. It was a great conversation today. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, excited to be around much more this week.
Awesome. Yeah. So the cruise in Dubai, you're going to see a lot of me and Kix and Signal and Nick as well throughout the week. You're not going to see any Easy or PO or Clemente. They're all slacking.
Thank God.
Over in Dubai. So you're gonna get the sharps on this week. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Daily Bone Podcast. Our podcast is available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Available on all major podcasting platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Apple Play. Thanks again for joining us. We'll catch you tomorrow.